We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
Without further ado, let me go ahead and present my case for the program tonight. Thanks for being here on the show. I'm going to let this TikToker by the name of Chocolate Teary, I'm going to let her go ahead and get things started with tonight's subject.
Okay, so y'all, story time. So y'all, please tell me if I'm wrong. So today this dude wrote me on Instagram and he was like, can I send you money? Let me send you money for lunch. So I was like, okay. I wrote him back and I was like, send it. So he wrote me and was like, okay, what's your cash app? So I sent him the cash app. Yeah, I just knew I was going to open my cash app and I was going to have at least probably about $100. You get what I'm saying? Because like this, I eat and that's how much I spend on my food.
Okay. So if anybody's missing anything right there, the guy she met on TikTok, I don't think she ever met him before. Just the guy virtually she met on Instagram, excuse me. She's on TikTok talking about him. But the guy she met on Instagram. And she was talking about getting some money for lunch. And she was expecting in her Cash App at least $100. Honey bottles, she called it. But instead, this is what happened.
Yeah, I opened my Cash App and this man sent me $30. Yeah, yes, $30. And I'm just like, at first I'm like, damn, like, am I ungrateful? Like, am I fucked up? Like, the feeling like, why the fuck would you send me $30? But then I had to ask people and they was like, nah, cause I'm like, $30 is not even half a tank in my car. Like, what the fuck you thought I was gonna go to Chick-fil-A? Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what did you think I was gonna eat? It's like, when I go and eat, I eat full course meals. Like I order a appetizer, a entree, and a dessert and a drink. That can't even get me 2 drinks. Like, what the fuck? And then
okay, so this girl wants to be wine to dine. She regularly expects to go ahead and spend the kind of money she would be at her lavish restaurant. She wants to live like a millionaire. Okay, you know, a lot of people are commenting about this, and there are a lot of women also commenting against this young lady for what she's saying here. It's delusional. Now, if she's the kind of woman that it really supports her own lifestyle to do that, but I got to go back and listen to the story again. Is she asked about it, or if he offered, if he volunteered to give it? But let me finish the whole story here real quick, and we'll go back to that.
this man had the audacity to write me back and say, let me get to know you. Why the fuck do you think I'm gonna let you get to know me and you just send me $30 for lunch? Is you dumb? I mean, like, y'all be for real. Like, tell me, am I wrong? Like, am I fucked up? Like,
Again, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here when I heard how she met the guy. We're going to go back one more time. So let me go back to that. Here we go.
This dude wrote me on Instagram and he was like, can I send you money? Let me send you money for lunch. So
Okay. He volunteered. And this was his way of, unfortunately, he's being a simp here by offering to go ahead and give her money. She didn't even ask for it. That was the part that, okay, well, he did that. And once he decided to put money into the picture, well, that changes everything. He didn't try to go ahead. We don't know anything about if they talked to each other and it was a thought like, oh, well, how about I take you out to lunch, take you out to dinner? He just decided, let me go ahead and send you some money for lunch. That was it. Well, first of all, the guy makes a mistake about like, well, why did he have to send that for? Like, what was it that she said that made him decide to go ahead and volunteer that out? I mean, it's fine if he wants to give out, but for the fact that, okay, you know, it's a gimme, and the fact that you didn't have to ask for it. It's funny that she didn't ask for it, because I'll tell you, there's been enough girls that I know I talk to online that'll just ask right out. And not only will they ask, they'll tell you the amount. Not even a question of that. Unapologetic and, you know, blunt. Okay. And then you say yes or no. Or you send it off and you find out where you want to have this sent. And that's it. But this young lady figured, oh, well, let's go and do that. Listen, I see that what she does right now, she does put herself together. Like all we're seeing right now is we can only see her from the face and a hair. The hair, obviously, it's quite a job she has right now, and the weave that she has, a couple $100 for sure on that. She gets her lashes done. The makeup, she probably has a lot of work on her makeup. Nails are definitely done. You can see that. And you can see earrings on her. I don't know if they're diamonds or not, but you can always see she is high maintenance. And he would have to have seen that when he saw her. If he's looking on her Instagram page, then most likely she probably puts that kind of feel out there for herself, right? So if we look at that and we say to ourselves, all right, maybe there's something here that we're missing out on as to what we expect. But let me just do like this, just for the hell of it. What would her TikTok look like anyway? If we're looking at her and we're trying to figure out, okay, who's this girl like? Like, let's go ahead and figure her out real quick. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt, right? So if I try to go into her Instagram page right now and I look and see if the same name for her TikTok falls the same way here, Chocolate Teary. Let's see if it matches up here. Well, Ari Nicole here, yes, it does. And here we go. She's a travel nurse and she's a model. It's funny. I know a girl that also is a travel nurse and she's not a model, but there you go. Apparently she, I guess, is Nigerian and Jamaican ancestry. I'm not sure, or culture. If you look at her, look, she's a beautiful girl. If you look at her and how she's dressed, okay, the guy makes a mistake. And by the way, these pictures and what's on here on our Instagram page are from 2022. So there's nothing for 2023 in here. But if we're looking right now, we're seeing, okay, she's been in Africa. She's been to safaris. You can see that she has been dressed lavishly before. And one of the things that we see when it comes to a lunch table is that she's at a table and she's a Medellin, Colombia, who she has on here. This is from February 12th. Okay. And looks like she's got mimosas. She's got fresh fruit. Again, but at Medellin, that meal she's got right there, you know, fruits, the whole breakfast she has, probably didn't cost more than $20 for her there. But again, she's in a nice place, outdoor, you know, a nice little setup, patio side, and set up like that. And who knows who took her out there? Who knows if it was her that did it or what it was? You know, what kind of income she makes? We don't know. But with her, you know, she's a jet setter. I mean, I even see one picture where she's got a closet, and you can see where she calls herself the original Black Barbie. Look, but don't touch. And when I look at her, she's got the full setup, dressed like almost like a Barbie. Has the full Barbie house looking here. I don't know. She's at some display that has that, obviously. So that was during the Barbie movie last year. And her deal is she's an influencer. She's obviously like everything has to be designer. So we've seen pictures where she's out, you know, in various tropical locations. There's one where she's in front of a Rolls Royce. And I mean, she's an attractive girl. Okay. But you should have known this girl's going to be a lot of money. And we do see one picture of her, that she's out here where she's a travel nurse. You can actually see her in scrubs. Okay. So this guy goes along and decides to go ahead and see the Instagram page. And without people looking at the Instagram page for her, you know, if this guy is following along and thinking, I want to go and do something nice for you, yeah, $30 for lunch is not going to work. Okay? Probably not. And what's funny is I look at the pictures here and the modeling pictures, it doesn't necessarily match up with what she does over on her TikTok page. You can see that she does a lot of work to put herself together when you see her out there, because the way she looks, you know, normally is very not so as overly glamorous as she sees in these pictures. That's pretty obvious. So this young lady got this here, and there are a lot of people that are commenting on this story and making comments about it. And then some of the girls that are commenting right away on this story, they start going off and says, okay, one says, it's giving ungrateful, send it back then. Another says, you're not spending $100 on lunch, but okay. Another one says, $30 for lunch sounds reasonable. Lunch break's only an hour. A guy says, then there's a couple of guys, he should have sent 10. She's trying to go viral. Another guy says. And then another young lady, so every time you eat, you spend $100. Be so serious right now. Another, yes, $30 from a complete stranger was more than enough, especially for lunch. Another one, mindset all the way gone. Another, $30 for lunch is more than enough. I don't know. Another, $30 meal for lunch is giving big back for real. Another, yes, he was expecting you to go to Chick-fil-A, it's lunch. Another, a guy, all it took was $30 to save him from a huge headache, the best investment he ever made. But he shouldn't have sent it in the first place. Both, again, are wrong. Let's just make that point clear. This guy should know that this young lady requires more. Now, she obviously doesn't probably live this kind of lifestyle all the time, but it is the thing where, she is for the gram. She's definitely for social media. So there's a delusion behind what she wants. But then also to keep up that lifestyle, the other thing is that she feels like everyone needs to go and treat her like she is still in the fantasy. It's not the everyday life. She expects every guy to treat her as if she's, always decked out, always put together. And that lifestyle and what she sees in these pictures is what she is in real life, because she wants the maintenance. She wants to look and feel and be in all these locales. She wants to live this fantasy all the time, 24/7. She's at the point where she's enjoyed it so much. That's what she wants out of her life. And so even when there's guys that will fawn over her like a fan, they think, well, $30 for lunch. And he volunteered, according to what she said. So this got out there. And I'll tell you, it comes down to the point of a lot of where I'm coming up with my point. As a single woman now, because of the fact that there are a lot of things that have been screwed up to make relationships impossible, or to make boyfriends, where boyfriends are not there by the plenty that would have been acceptable in other times, and now they're not. Okay? Because now expectations from social media have become so high, and the taste of lifestyle and lavishness and clout and status is so big. It's become delusional. And so women are on here that are young and they're pretty and they have the pretty privilege. Well, then now they become desperate to keep the lifestyle, desperate to keep that social status, that clout. And therefore they become delusional. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, women can have the choice of what they want. That's where it is. And also, TikTok gets to the point where they're allowing it to be acceptable behavior. Remember we talked about that a while back, the Lulu phrase, right? So, TikTok having a habit of rebranding everything. And according to the app, Bustle takes a story from Alexis Barillo, and she says, according to the app, you're not hungover, you're having a bed rot day. You're not immature, you're simply a teenage girl in her 20s. And now you're not out of line of daydreaming, you're just a Lulu. We also had girl math. Remember hearing about that too? So these catchphrases come across a new form of manifestation across the platform and beyond. The Lulu culture might actually help you live the life of your dreams. And this is exactly what we're talking about here. Now, this is going back to August 2023, but at that point, the hashtag Delulu had more than 2 billion views on TikTok. And after the glamorized rebrands of the past few years, it's clear that users have no problem leaning into all things unhinged. But TikTok has a reputation of turning legitimate psychological terms into overused internet lingo, and being Delulu might not be a bad thing after all. Well, you can't do much about that, right? I mean, there's a point where there are a lot of young women that this is what they've grown up on. They see what other people have and what they want to have. Where it's not like it, and this is social media for everybody. Let's just make that clear as well. Because enough people out there that they get on social media and they see what everybody else has around the world, and it doesn't care about what people have in their backyard anymore, which is used to be all that we used to have. Pretty obvious. But here we go. The same thing goes along once again. And it's like, it's allowed, it's acceptable to think that, that every woman thinks they need to go and be able to travel to wherever they want in the world. For those that want to go to Dubai, they want to go to wherever. What about the women that we've been hearing about lately? They've been getting their tax returns. I don't even get into that part because that's a little too much. The welfare checks. And there are women that are taking full-fledged trips. Like, what was the one I saw that somebody went out and, what was the Social Security checks? And it was what? Oh, no, it's the tax refunds, right? on vacations. And I've seen that already before as well. And I'm trying to figure out which stories there was that I've seen on that. I'm trying to go figure out if I have the stories that were on that as well. Because I've seen that as well, where we've seen some people splurging on vacations. And there was some stories we already saw recently where that happened as well. And, you know, it's where the kids are not getting anything out of it, but I'm not here to go ahead and say anything about it at all. It's just, that's just the way it is. We're going to leave it there. Like, that's the part I'm not going to go ahead and talk about at all, about the wasting of money out there. But when women feel like they can go ahead and go to this manifestation, right? There's a Laura Chung who's a manifestation expert and says the latest viral term could really inspire self-actualization. So going to the story, she says that the most important part of manifestation is having the utmost confidence that whatever you want will come to you in some way. And if that's considered delusional, then that's just showbiz, baby. But that is becoming a normal thing that we're starting to hear. And, you know, it's a part where we can have that. Now, going on in the story, they go along and say that, well, we live in a patriarchal society where mediocre white men have such a high level of confidence and delusion. And Chung says that, you know, they will ask for the raise, they will ask for the job, and then they manifest because they believe in themselves. Women are less likely to do all these things, but with exposure to do what is possible. Seeing self-made female millionaires or successful executives, creators who are more online and in real life, it's easier to believe that they can reach those heights. Now, the girl we talked about before, complaining about the $30 Cash App, she does Airbnbs. And, you know, there's a business in that. So she's an entrepreneur in her own right. Again, no judging on this part. But it's this thing where, what about the other women that see this here? And this is the role models or the examples they're going to follow? When we don't need so many people to go and follow this kind of trend and say, oh, this is what, like, the way things should be and how things should be, and how they should be are. No. The thing is that for women, they put so much pressure on themselves sometimes because of the thought process of, well, you know, women's liberation going back to the 50s, like, you know, being independent, having your own jobs, having your own career, having your own lifestyle, maintaining your own lifestyle, sustaining your income, sustaining the lifestyle that you have. But then they want to have their cake and eat it too. There's the part where women, in some of these cases, they want to have and continue to keep their lifestyle with what their income is, but they don't want to have it, they want to spend on that. They want to have somebody else spend, they want to have somebody else's money to spend on it. So to take advantage of the guys as well. So get even more so than before. Okay. But that's also being acceptable behavior. Is that a good idea? Do we like that thought process? Is that something that we want to go and see? Do we think that chocolate theory is right on that? I'm trying to go for the other option. I'm spotlighting this right here, putting a big magnifying glass on it and saying to myself, do I think this is good for women to go and see? Is this something that is useful? I mean, obviously there's someone on there that obviously realize, you know what? They're on the grind every day. That's the other thing, because there's a lot of single women that are the majority. Let's just be honest here. Plenty of those that I see on sugar daddy sites or that are on dating apps on the grind, right? They're doing it for themselves, right? It's like the Annie Lennox, Aretha Franklin song from the 80s. Sisters are doing it for themselves. And they are. There are a lot of women that, listen, going to college, trying to work their way up, you know, make their careers, not thinking about families or thinking about relationships or thinking about children. Not right now. Not in the cards. Because, you know, the thought process is that, oh, we don't have to worry about that right now. You know, someone don't want to be tied down in their early 20s, their late teens, and get into marriage and get into children and have the home. They can wait for that. They want to live their best lives now. They want to live the dream, if you will. And if you're going to do that, you got to think about, like, well, you know, what you need to do to be able to go and accomplish all those things. Like, if you want to have family and children and everything else, like, what is sacrifice as a result? Or how do you make it happen so you can all get it all as you want in your life complete? It's making it very difficult. It's not hard. It's not very easy for some women to do that. But it's the part where love is less important. That's the worst thing to hear. that for men and women out there, young men and women, that love is something that they can't even think about. It's not even worth it. But there's a lot of reasons why. Trust me, there's a lot more stories we could bring up that are encompassing the issue that we have right now of what's going on. And I'll tell you a couple of these stories that are going on right now. We got spring break coming up. And I wonder how many guys and gals are really bumping the uglies right now, because spring break has become passé. It's not even as what it was anymore. That's the other part that's really unfortunate, but we don't hear much about it, right? Not much at all. I mean, it's still happening. And there are still people that go out for spring break, but you really don't hear much about it. You know? It used to be a thing where, like, you know, that was the, like, you know, hook up and whatever and, you know, bump uglies or whatever. But it's not even a matter of that anymore. That's so, I mean, almost like spring break, you can't do it because, you know, there are those women that they don't want to just do the traditional trip to like Panama City Beach or Daytona or Miami or whatever. No, we got to go somewhere else. Not even Jamaica, not even Mexico. We got to go somewhere bigger. Let's go to Dubai. Let's go to Europe or whatever. It's like, you know, it's like it's complete delusion, the manifestation. And it starts early on because of what young women can see on TikTok. That's all there is to it. To the point where young women can also just feel like, well, if they have the beauty and they have the youth, yeah, they have that power. They have that ability. They have the presence. But then again, it's like, well, you know, are you able to also realize, you know, you got to keep your feet on the ground? It's like Casey Kasem used to say back in the day, keep your feet on the ground first, then keep reaching for the stars. But women are not doing that anymore. This is like a new thing that is being positioned out there. It's being influenced by the influencers. So you got to keep track of what's going on here. There's a bunch of stories we can bring up that talk about the very serious because of what dating apps are not doing. Like the constant issues we have right now that are getting bad. So here's a story we just heard about. Users are filing complaints about how they were unfairly banned from Hinge. And there's a number of people who have lodged complaints. Maybe I should go ahead and send something to the Better Business Bureau because I got banned, right? Half of Americans under 30 have used the dating website or app. 1 in 5 have dabbled with Hinge since 2012. This is from Fast Company, by the way. And now there's a new analysis that finds that number of complaints lodged against Hinge through the Better Business Bureau. That per million active monthly users is nearly 4 times that of Tinder, 8 times more of Bumble, and those complaints, 98% are related to unjustified user bans from the app. Yeah, I could bring that up if I wanted to, but like, you know, I'm not going to worry about that. What am I going to get? Some lawsuit? I used to pay subscriptions for that. So if there ever becomes a tort lawsuit, you know who's going to be jumping on that, buddy? King of Podcasts right here. I'm all in. And here's some other things that are going on. Tinder has a new CEO. And they talked about the fact that, you know, quote, we probably have dropped the ball on women's experiences on the dating app. And here's what we got. Tinder has a new CEO, Faye Iosatoluno. And she's now the new CEO after leaving the role vacant for a year and a half. And she is now the second female CEO. Tinder's paid users have dropped 5% year over year. Remember, this is the same group that now has a $500 per month tier. Tinder Select, right? Crazy. She talks about that she envisions a product that really thinks about what are your best interests at heart. So Tinder already admits it's screwing up. It has been screwing up. So Hinge is banning users. Tinder is publicly saying they're screwing up. We have that going on. Psychology will tell you the same thing. The mental health of women out there, the ones that go on dating apps saying they are attention seeking. Again, manifestation. So the label is dismissive, according to the psychologist here, ignores underlying emotional issues. Use of the label attention seeking is a modern way of viewing women as hysterical. I don't want to say it like that, but you know, there's something to be said about this. And the stories of girls and women who are suffering from suicidality are valuable and need to be heard. And so they go along and talk about the attention-seeking descriptor is inherently negative in connotation, and it's often ascribed to women struggling with borderline personality disorder or BPD. And in fact, non-suicidal self-injury, NSSI, is only one of a list of diagnostic criteria for BPD. And criteria also includes issues with identity, relationships, and fears of abandonment. And when they look at this story, they say that there are stories of girls and women that are being ignored. And we dismiss on how they are expressing their pain. And this psychologist here says in her practice, she's seen everyone from inpatient hospital settings to outpatient clinics, rarely seen men described as attention-seeking. Despite having exhibited some of the same suicidal behaviors as many women, including cutting, burning, or attempted overdoses, we should ask ourselves, why is this? And implore our healthcare providers and those who care about the well-being of girls and women to do better. It's a serious thing. Lauren Donnelly here, PhD, she makes this point, that attention-seeking and that manifestation, if not handled, if women are not with their feet on the ground, thinking about what's going on here, this delusion, this desperation, if it becomes too serious, it becomes hysterical. That's serious. And I fear for some of the girls that get caught up in this and what could happen to them if they can't live up to the expectations that all these influencers are creating. Because it's not, for some of them, it's only for a random few, but it's not completely possible for all of them. That's a problem. That's another problem. Another thing that's also manifestation from SidePost. Perceived sex ratios influence women's body image and dieting motivation. So to have that manifestation, to create the opportunities that they have to manifest themselves, the pretty privilege. Okay. There's a journal called the Archives of Sexual Behavior. They published a study showing that women's dissatisfaction with their body image and their motivations for weight loss are significantly influenced by how they perceive the local sex ratio, the number of women compared to men in their environment. They had 5 studies that were on this, that a higher ratio of women to men intensifies competition among women and leads to increased body dissatisfaction and as such, a stronger desire to lose weight. So more women than men in the space. And here's what's going on. How many women are kind of following along with this right now? Because, how many women are out there that are single? A lot. See, there's a lot of single men, but because of the manifestation, because of this delusion, there are a lot less men that are eligible to these women in general, because they see what their manifestation requires. If they're going to have somebody compliment them, they need somebody that's probably 6 foot or taller, at least a 6-figure income, probably 6 inches or more, or what they have, or a 6-pack abs. They have a particular idea of who they need to manifest with. They don't want somebody to settle down with. They want somebody that will continue to support their dreams, their aspirations, their fantasies, their lifestyle, and live up to the clout and status they were creating for themselves. So the women themselves, this is something that should be said, is that the sex ratio is, mainly competition. And if more women feel like there's a lot more beautiful women are out there that are not willing to go ahead and settle with any guy because of the manifestation, because of the way things are being perceived now on social media and what people see around them, then now we're getting more and more that women feel like they're in body dissatisfaction. And of course, that means they need to lose weight. Okay, well, some of them, do they need to lose weight, or do they need to go in, do anything about their body image? Like, again, dissatisfaction with their body image. What about those women that feel like, okay, weight loss? How many of those that are young and skinny and already like in good shape anyway, and healthy at least? What about body image that becomes a point where there's not enough diet and exercise to go and change your shape of your body? Then you have to start looking at plastic surgery. Then you have to start looking at things to change yourself to continue the manifestation. So that's where BBLs come in. That's where, liposuction comes in. That's where, various things right now. To change your look, to become something that you want to be. This is delusion. This is desperation. I'm not wrong about this. I don't want to be right about it either. But this concerns me. This is why I bring it up. And I'm really, and I hope women will realize I'm not trying to judge and put down any woman out there. I'm concerned. There's a lot of young, beautiful women that I don't want them to get caught up in this manifestation to the point where, They lose themselves. They get lost in the desperation. They get lost in the delusion, the manifestation, and what social media. If a girl sees someone that looks like her on social media, and they think, well, they want to live the same lifestyle, they want to live the dream, but sometimes that's a gamble. And what will that do emotionally to your health? Well, we just saw it. Attention seeking. It could create a modern way of women where they can become hysterical. And this young lady that's dealing with mental health of girls and women, Lauren Donnelly, she makes the point. It's dismissive and ignores underlying emotional issues. Because someone might feel like, well, they want the fantasy, they want the princess fantasy because that's what they want, or be like a queen. Because they're trying to go ahead and escape something else that happened to them. I think that's important to bring up. And again, I'm advocating. I'm not putting down women at all. There are a lot of women that are not having to deal with this at all. They're not under this category. But I see this here. I read about it. And this is like, well, yeah. It is being depraved and debaucherous, right? In their own way. But that's in moderation, folks. Remember that. That has to be something you got to think about as well. It's got to be some moderation behind all this. Now, I want to take a story of this from Your Tango that also got published recently. A woman questioning if she was wrong for abruptly leaving a date after finding out the guy lied about his age. Now, she met a guy online, she says. This is an anonymous woman posting on Reddit. She's 24 years old. And the guy she was meeting claimed to be 4 years older than her. They were interested in the same things and got along well, met for a drink last weekend. When the woman arrived at the bar to meet up with her date, something immediately seemed off. She went looking for him and saw he looked a little different, older. She went over and met him and said his looks different than his picture. He said, oh yeah, those are a few years old. But I said, you're 28, right? He said it was actually 42, but age is just a number. And then the woman felt uncomfortable, so she left. And she declared that her date declared she was shallow, and that's why he doesn't say his real age. For her part, a woman believed the whole situation was funny. A friend she told didn't think so. Reddit users that saw this story, they were overwhelmingly letting them know that she was, in fact, not in the wrong. One person addressed the date assertion that age is just a number, writing, if it's just a number, then why lie about it? You're not wrong. Good for you for leaving. Well, now we see the other part that has to be made mention of. So there are the, flaws of the dating apps and the attention seeking that is put on there as a tag on dating apps. But also keep in mind that, yes, of course, there are guys that are also in the old fashioned trait of like not giving the full account. Like there's one thing of playing the dating game and not saying everything about yourself, but there's also lying about it. And that's the part you can't do that. Not allowed. Not acceptable. And, the one good thing for her was that she left. And one lady on here says that, people will say you should be polite or whatever they feel like is socially acceptable. But when young women are faced with situations where their spidey senses start tingling, it's not the time for being polite. That is the time to find the exit quick. Yeah, she was right to go and leave. The guy should have been honest about himself. And you know what? If you wanted somebody that was 24 years old, yeah, you're not going to get him. But the thing is, you shouldn't have to even do that in the first place. Because for the most part, there are guys, like I said, there are plenty of young women that this guy could go after and meet on the sugar dating sites. Just saying. So I don't know which app he was on. Probably was on Hinge, where I can't tell you about anything about it because I got banned from it. So it doesn't make a difference, right? I hope my diatribe, my sermon today will help make some points across. And I hope some of you will appreciate where I'm coming from with all this, because I think this is important to bring up. It was nice to go ahead and bring the story up and kind of put that out into the ether. I hope you appreciate where I came from with this. I do this out of love. I do this out of appreciation, admiration, love for women. Like, I'm a single guy, 30 plus years pursuing women for a long time. And you know what? It didn't work out for me, and that's okay. But one thing I will say more than anything else is that I want women to go and, not be put into this spot to where there's something that has to be said about getting to this point and saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead and live my best life, because what I've been given previously, who I was before, and the people that screwed me over, the issues that I've gone through, I'm going to escape all the bad things that happened to me. But being a little desperate and delusional and trying to manifest, that is a woman's way of being depraved and debaucherous.